must a man walk down before you can call him a man? And how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? And how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friends, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Thanks for singing along, everybody. Happy Sunday. And we've got Rhea McCarris on the guest musicians today. So.
I know.
Welcome.
Mm-hmm. Have you here, Rhea? Wonderful. And welcome to everybody here, and welcome to everybody in the virtual world. Good to see you guys. I don't see you, but you see me, and hopefully we'll, when I go, well, anyway, good to see you guys. Happy New Year. Let's see, all kinds of exciting things to come down the road here. What do I want to start with? Do we have any announcements today? Actually, Andrea has an announcement, an invitation.
Yes, an invitation. So I have a few friends who are joining me to take down decorations, and we can use a couple more bodies. So it will be quick and easy if you'd like to stay after service and after connecting, and a couple of you would like to help us out. That'd be great.
Fabulous. Good. Yeah. So there is going to be a potluck next Sunday. So bring your favorite dish. That will start. I think we're going to start doing them on second Sundays. We'll see how this one goes. But it's starting next Saturday, next Sunday, January 11th.
Don't we already do potlucks?
Don't we already do potlucks?
Don't we eat like after?
We eat. It's not a potluck though.
Okay.
It's a catered affair.
I'm sorry, I don't What do you bring?
Yes. For a bachelor, it's all one and the same, isn't it, Paul? Just show up. So we have mantras with Magdalena. That's next Sunday. Next Sunday, yes.
18th.
The 18th. Oh, okay, in 3 weeks. Okay. So that's happening. New Thought in the World Open Conversations with me beginning again on the fourth Sunday of the month. That will be January 25th. Did I just die? No, I'm there. Here I am. I've risen.
No, don't die.
Yes. So anyway, that's going to be happening. Open Mind Gift Shop. There's all kinds of fun stuff in there to see and do. And that is. So and you're welcome All. Should we drop this and go to the handheld?
That's what happened last time with the other one.
I don't know. Thank you, Steve. So I'm on? I'm on now, but I'm gonna turn this off then. Fit in my lapel. So anyway, so two things that I want to say as we begin service today. The first is, I think the unofficial theme for the year is going to be no going back. And I say that for someone who likes to play in the field of astrology, something interesting and curious is happening, which is that there has been some major movements of certain planets into different signs, and they've been kind of going backward and forward all last year. But this year they all move firmly into their new signs, and they're not retrograding back into the old signs. So what we say is there is no going back. I think it's a proper and good metaphor for all of us for the year. No going back, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that during my talk. So that's going to be up. And speaking of no going back, our question of the day. So when I texted this out, people were like, what does this mean? First of all, pro tip, it's a metaphor. So, but here's the question, is it time for you to take a new route? Is there a route that you are traveling or have been traveling that you realize, you know what, it's time for me to take a new route to where I'm going? So the question was, what does that mean? It means this: if the road you're traveling is not leading to where you desire to be, is it time to take a new road? Does that make sense? So I'll graciously start with Lee, and then he can pass it over to Rhea if she chooses to answer as well, which we'd love to, and then we'll open it up to you guys.
Absolutely. Okay. When I thought about this, I thought, yes, there is a different path I could be taking, and it feels like what I've been holding myself back with is a level of perfectionism or being afraid that I'm not ready to do this thing. So I think moving forward, the path is about less trepidation. Just do the thing. Don't let that fear speak too loudly. So yeah, a path of fearlessness, and it should make things more efficient.
Path of fearlessness. I love that. Thank you for that.
Does Rhea want to say something?
Yeah, I would say for me, I think I've been a little comfortable like the last few months, and I believe in growth being the uncomfortable path. So I think that maybe taking a little bit of a harder road, working up my muscles a little more, so to speak, like just making myself a little uncomfortable, kind of like what Lee's saying, because I think about, to be specific, right? Like personally, as a musician and someone who likes to express myself, I've been very comfortable in like, what would it be like to take a path where I just am a little braver? I say the thing I need to say, or I try something that is my expression without worrying about how that looks to other people. So it's similar to Lee, but for sure, I look back at my life and I can think like all the growth always happens when I'm not comfortable. So taking the more uncomfortable path this year. Yeah.
So the path of discomfort.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Andrew.
So for me, I am going to continue one foot in front of the other, day by day, and let my heart lead the way. That is me.
All right, so Paul the wandering monk.
Like the wandering monk.
Like the wandering monk with a mic. Anybody? All right, we got people started.
Yes, I was diagnosed with liver damage a month ago, and I turned my diet around, quit eating sugar, started eating more rabbit food, and lots of exercise. And I took a blood test, and my A1C is normal. My liver damage is completely reversed. I don't have liver damage no more. So my new diet and my new way of life has turned my life around.
Well, sugar sure comes to mind, so that's going to be eliminated this year. But the other thing is going full force. Huh?
Starting when?
Monday. But my full force turnaround is to be marketing my newly published book, Suicide Survivor, this year in as many locations as I can.
I've been obsessed with politics this year, and I've found that it's taken me away from all of my creative endeavors. And so I've decided to stop focusing on politics and TV, and instead I'm going to focus on more painting, writing, and music.
Hi there. I have been in the past year going in a direction that's not healthy or working for me, but I was on it. So in the beginning of this new year now, rather than making a New Year's resolution, I am wanting to go in a different direction. I'm going to be the direction I was going in for the whole year was, I would say, were kind of led by my addictions, which there are many, and now in this beginning of the new year, I'm going to be giving up these addictions, but not for a temporary period of time per se, like dry January or something like that. But it's going to be longer because I want to be going in a different direction than I was, in a more healthy, wholesome, creative, productive direction in a way that brings out better feelings and a better experience of living and a better self, better feelings about myself. So that's the direction I'm going in. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
I was just thinking about like consciousness and like where's my consciousness leading me, and so that the direction I would say, or what path do I need to change within my mind, and to understand that really staying close to those ones, like the barefoot Buddha and the barefoot rabbi, all them who really inspire me to reach a better place of consciousness and love in my life that is less reactionary, that is more peaceful and giving and kind. Yeah, please.
So I want to add one thing. So I just kind of want to add one thing to all of those things, which is this, is that within our culture, we have this thing that New Year's, we're supposed to hit the ground running. And that is like totally contrary to the rhythm of the earth. This is winter. It is dark. It is slow. It is restful. It is recalibrating. Rudolf Steiner says that it's the interior that is most alive, not the exterior. So I say that with that I think what happens is it's really easy for us to say, oh, I need to start immediately in all of it and this, that, and then we are out of the natural rhythm of the earth. And so find that. We are ending what's known as the Holy Nights tonight, which is this 12-day period that starts around Christmastide. And it's really about recalibrating by resting and moving slow before we move fast. And so my invitation to all of us as we are looking at this is to give ourselves the grace to work within the rhythm of the season. So that's my little that. So with that, Andrea, if you'd like to move us into service.
Sure, I'd love to. So I'd love to start, or as we continue to begin again. And then the next step is, I think I'll begin again. And then I'm going to keep on walking and begin again and again. And this moment, this is it, right? This is the precious moment. So in this precious moment, I offer this invocation for us to already what is already here. There is a divine calling. Sometimes we doubt that. Am I on my path? Where is my calling? And I do believe that the heart leads. The calling is before you, and it is the inspiration to take the next step and the next step. So in the consciousness of an invocation is to allow my mind to expand to open, greater than my thoughts. So I offer this to you by relaxing now. Relax your arms, your hands, your fingers, your face. Maybe your eyes are open, maybe your eyes are closed. All is good, because when your eyes are open, you can see all around. You can look up just a little bit and you can see everything. So there's good in all ways that you are comfortable. And I steady myself through my breath. And so I come back again and again to breathing consciously. I am aware of being aware. What is that I am aware of? I am conscious and I am aware. So in this consciousness, I call forth to that divine beloved, that being, that energy, that light of spirit that is always with us forever and ever. Amen. Always there, guiding me home when I am willing to sit and be in the moment of what is. So here we are, and we are breathing together. We are living this life to the greatest capacity that we will be. We will be, we are becoming always. And so it is to this light, as I say me, it is we. For the consciousness is all that is. It is everything. Everything here and now that has ever been, that will ever be, and here we are. So we listen to the sound of the breath of the other, and we feel the energy of me, who it is that I am. Take your attention into your own heart, into yourself, into how you feel in your body right now. Let the wandering mind settle again and again. So how grateful I am that we have this opportunity to share this together. How grateful I am that we come together in this sanctuary. That is where we are sitting, in a sanctuary of love, of truth, of witnessing the growth and the beingness of each other. We hear a talk that inspires and uplifts our hearts. We listen and sing within to a melody that lifts our spirits. And we join together in a community that will love us into wholeness just as we are, just as I am right here and now. I am that I am. I am one with thee. Thank you for all that is. So be it, and so it is. So the reading today, and you can keep yourself in a contemplative mode because it is more of a practice together. It is a New Year's thing, right? And it comes from Jack Kornfield, who I truly respect. I've actually sat in his presence many years ago. So this is what he says. And as I said, it's a practice. In this quiet moment, to bow to what has been and to gently open your hands to what is still unknown. You do not need a perfect vision for the future. You only need a willing heart and a kind attention. So take a few breaths and offer yourself this simple blessing. May I carry forward what truly matters. May I release what no longer serves. May I walk into this new year with courage and care. And as you breathe and take that breath in, extend that light outward. May we choose love again and again. May our world remember its own goodness. The light you seek for the year ahead is not waiting somewhere else. It already lives in you, in your capacity to begin again, to forgive a little more, to open when it would be easier to close. As this year turns, may you trust that something wise is moving you forward, even when you cannot see the path. And so a silent remembering, a silent contemplation for 3 minutes, and I invite you to go back again and again to your breath. We softly open our eyes, and with a smile, we begin again.
I'm going to play this meditative, brand new song from a phenomenal current artist named Jesse Wells, who's just creating a storm amongst the songwriter community, releasing a new song every week that captures something in the ethers. And this is a new one he released last week that I thought was basically the theme of it sounded like change your thinking, change your life. And I thought it's a good one to share right here. It's called Peace Like a River. Jesse Wells from Arkansas. I knew a girl, her only
to find a man she could trust. And when she got him, she thanked the Lord. Now she's lying awake at night, scared to death, she's getting bored. If you look down the road, you see the sun, and it takes time as you make time just to get where you've begun. I've got peace like a river, peace like a river. I've got time, and I don't need a thing that ain't in my mind. I knew a man, his only wish to answer to no one and drink like a fish. He worked real hard, he got it all. Now there's plenty to drink and no one to call. If you look down the road, you see the sun, and it takes time as you make time to get where you've begun. I've got peace like a river, peace like a river. I've got time, and I don't need a thing that ain't already mine. I knew a girl, her only sorrow, all her life she was waiting for tomorrow. I knew a man who wanted life so bad he mined up in the sky. He never came back to land. He's got peace like a river, peace like a river. I've got time, and I don't need a thing that ain't in my mind. Sing, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got time. I've got time, and I don't need a thing that ain't in my mind. No, I don't need a thing that ain't in my mind. Jesse Wells. Oh, yeah. Please welcome our Reverend Dr. Guy Williams.
Thank you. Thank you. Jesse Wells. I think I know that name.
He's been all over the social media because every week he's got something profound coming out.
That's remarkable. So here we are, the first Sunday of January, and the first Sunday of January is always personally important to me for three things that I want to share. The first is that it was in 2005, the first Sunday of January, January 1st, that I took the pulpit here. That was, so that would mean that I'm starting 26 years here at the center, yeah. So that's kind of a big one. 21. This is 26. I took the pulpit in 2005. So this will be 21 years. 21 years. Feels like 26. Well, it does this morning, and I'll say why. Because first of all, what I want to say is I love each and every one of you, and I feel like I have the greatest gig in the world. And so I love what I do. I love the opportunity that I get to do something like this because, you know, what else can a person like me do and do successfully? So I get to do homework for a living, which is one of my favorite things to do. So, and as I was reflecting on it, In the entire time when there has been so much joy, there has been one thing that has always troubled me, and it is this. I cannot tell you how many Saturdays I have ripped up my talk and had to start again because there's been a mass shooting or some crazy scandal or some boneheaded idea to go occupy another country or whatever the aberration is. And I look at there and I think, well, here I was getting ready to talk about that, and you know, geez, here we are having to kind of grapple with one of these things again, and the challenge of what that looks like and how that flavors it out. And I'll spend a little bit more time on that as I get into it. But the other part of it is what I love, or why I enjoy this Sunday so much, is having grown up Catholic, I was in the rhythm of a liturgical year that even though I don't consider myself, I'm like at all Roman Catholic, or even mainline Christian. For that point, I'm probably much more anarchistic in a sense. But that liturgical rhythm is something that I really love, and I particularly love the story of the first Sunday of January, which is the story of the Magi. And the Magi have you know, it has evolved in my life, but it's an incredible story if one thinks about it, and I think it is more pertinent today than we may give ourselves credence to consider. And if I can just briefly, I'll just set the stage. So, you know, each gospel has a prologue of what their story is going to be. And the prologue is told in the nativity or the birth scenes of Jesus. You know, you have Mark, who just simply doesn't even deal with a nativity. He doesn't even deal with a birth or anything like that. He just simply says, and this is how the whole story begins. Then you have John, who does something similar, but he goes into this really mystical place, and he kind of tracks in Genesis, and the beginning was Logos, and it's mystical. John, the Gospel of John really is, if you consider it, it's a handbook for a mystery school. Then you have Luke, who is writing to a certain group of people, and you have Matthew, who's writing to a certain group of people. And Matthew's is really interesting because it is the only story that talks about this idea of the Magi. And the story basically is this, is that it has all these kinds of mystical dreams and images, and there's a star in there. But the story is these three astrologers, these Magi, from probably Persia, see in the heavens a sign that demonstrates that a great teacher, a savior has been born. And they look at their prognostications, however they think, it's a story, it's not history. So there's no way that we could say this is actually what happened, but Matthew is telling a story for a purpose. And the story is that these Magi travel to Jerusalem in search of what this great teacher or king would be, and they encounter the despot, the tyrant, the puppet rump king, Herod. And Herod was a horrible person historically. We know Herod existed, and we know he was a horrible person because we know the history of horrible things that he did. He killed his wife, he killed his children, he massacred people. He was just not a good person. And Matthew, knowing this, says that the Magi go to him and that he's deeply troubled when he gets the message. And he says, well, find out where he is so that I can go and pay homage and worship him myself. And we all know that Herod was not going to do that. What Herod was going to do is disappear this kid because of his own fear, because that's what tyrants do. And they shout down dissent. They suppress. That's a tyrant is more concerned about power than they are about anything else. So the Magi go and they see Jesus, and it's an interesting story. It's not history because the star does all kind. It travels and it turns left and it goes someplace else and all these other kinds of things. But to me, the most important part of the story is this one line in the Gospel of Matthew that to me is probably the most important line in the whole Gospel. because the Magi have a dream. And because of this dream, what Matthew says is, and having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. They left by another road. Because if you think about what Matthew, I think, is trying to say, is that for them to do what they were asked to do would have been complicit in what Herod was plotting to do. So for them to say, or for them to decide to go back to their land by another route is an act of resistance. It's an act of saying, we will not be complicit in the path that is laid before and what it means to be a good citizen and what it means to follow authority and what it means to do this and what it means to do that, because there is a certain point where we have to say no to the expectations of what empires lay on us. Well, thank you. I'm not speaking of anything pertinent. I'm speaking about baby Jesus and the astrologers. But it kind of comes back there. So there's this mantra that I've been sitting with all week, and it surprised me that it became relevant here today because it's kind of my own conviction. And it's written by a guy by the name of Joseph Mekhess, and he says this. He says, in the very end, civilizations perish because they listen to their politicians and not their poets. Civilizations end because the people listen to the politicians and not the poets. Because politicians are concerned with one thing. They're concerned with ingratiating themselves into the realms of power. Very few, rarely are they concerned with service. Except, of course, for Bernie Sanders, who's been right the entire time. But, and I'm not aware of anyone else, but we'll leave it at that. But poets, on the other hand, are concerned with something else: symmetry, beauty, balance, relationship, the rhythm of the earth and the intelligence of the universe and how it reflects. And perhaps the path that we travel is not the path of expectation, but the path of our dreams. The path of what inspires us, the path of what invites us to move forward in where we're wanting to go. To me, when I look at this, it's like, this is my dream, and for each of us, it's our own dream to be. Because if you think about it, the very nature of empire, I think, is built on one word: more. More of this, more resources, more power, more of this. How can I accumulate? How can I accumulate? How can I accumulate? And in doing so, we sort of lose vision of who we are and what happens in that. And I think what happens is the lust for power, the lust for more, breeds a level of hubris. And that hubris causes a blindness to our behavior and what we need to know and what we think we can do. And it leads us to this sense of unskilled behavior. In the Holy Quran, it is written that man is a witness against himself, even if he puts forward his own excuses. That we are always reflecting back who we are and how we do things, even with all the excuses and stories that we tell ourselves. But if our perception is on something other than the good, the true, the beautiful, if it is focused on the more, how can I accumulate? How can I have? How can I have? Because we as a culture now have forgotten even what sufficiency means. We don't know what, we think that enough is not enough, right? That our idea has been trained into us to have more than enough. Well, why do we have to have more than enough? Because it's an affirmation of lack. to have more than enough is a hedge against the fear of insufficiency that is there. But as the Quakers say, enough is enough for a feast. And so it's this idea of what it means to learn in balance, what it means to learn to live in a sense of sufficiency without our eyes going here or there or wherever it can be. And what happens, I believe, that when we are caught into that idea, when we're on that path, it is easy for us to lose our way. And I was thinking this week, interestingly enough, of an author that changed my life. Or I don't know if he changed my life, but he changed my reading habits maybe, or I enjoy him as a writer, maybe he changed my life is a little dramatic, except that I still think about him, and I read him in the 90s. And that was a man by the name of John Krakauer. Anybody know who he is? He wrote a couple interesting books. He wrote a book called Into Thin Air. He also wrote a book called Into the Wild. And he wrote another book called Under the Banner of Heaven. And he was originally a journalist for Outside Magazine, and in the late 90s and early 2000s, wherever they are. I loved his writing. I loved his things. His books were the kind of books that you sat down like, and I remember doing this one day with Under the Banner of Heaven in a Borders bookstore. Am I dating myself? But I sat in a Borders bookstore and I read the first sentence and sat the entire day and read the book of Under the Banner of Heaven. It was brilliant. But Into Thin Air and Into the Wild both read like Greek tragedies. So Into Thin Air is the true story of, in 1997, there were several expeditions onto Mount Everest. And the wisdom of the wild 90s was this. In fact, one of the touring companies that was leading people up Mount Everest said basically this: if you had $60,000 and you were in relatively good shape, we can take you to the top of Mount Everest. And so there were, I don't know how many anymore, but there were lots of people, into the 10s and 20s and 30s of people, to the point where John Krakauer says, that there was literally a crowd of people trying to get to the top of Mount Everest. And what happens is this hurricane comes in. And who knew there were hurricanes on Mount Everest? But there was. And this sense of achievement turns into a catastrophe. People were killed. People lost limbs. It was just devastation. There was one New York socialite who was running blindly into the blizzard shouting, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die." There was heroism of people going up and trying to get people down off the mountain. There were other people that were lost. There's one tragic story of this man from Australia who could not be rescued because of the conditions, but they patched him in on a cell phone to his wife in Australia, and he talked to her as he froze to death on the mountain. And then there's the book Into Thin Air. Yeah, he's a cheery writer. But then there was the book Into Thin Air about a young man from the East Coast, and he decides that he is done with society of how it is, and he's going to go and move in Alaska, and he's going to be a man who lives off the land. And he eats these mushrooms, and he starves to death. They're tragedies. They're unnecessary tragedies, but they're tragedies that are based on this idea of what it means to go forward into something without the skills necessary to do it. And I think the challenge for that, and particularly in spiritual communities, is belief is not enough. It doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. Do you have the skills? Do you have the skills to carry you forward into the dreams that you're wanting to do? And I think many times in New Thought, we don't address that. We talk about just visualize this and picture that and do that. And yet, people get sick, people die, people go broke, they can't afford rent, and all these things kind of going on because it takes more than just believing. It takes learning something. Now, I think New Thought can be kind of almost boiled down to one statement. And I would offer this statement to you as kind of a mantra. And it is this, that my thoughts control my life, and I can direct my thoughts. My thoughts direct my life, and I can direct my thoughts. That is a powerful and liberating concept to think about. That the world in which we live is in many ways a direct reflection of our thinking. And the power is that our capacity to control or direct our thinking. And that takes skill. Anybody here who, in all the questions that we had at the very beginning, we're answering things, all know what that looks like. All know what a resolution looks like and the day that we don't do it anymore. All know the day that we say we're not going to eat cookies anymore until the day we eat a cookie. All the days that we say we're going to do this until we don't. All the days we're going to balance our checkbook until we don't. All those things, because it's not like we don't lack the desire, we lack the skill set to do it. And what I would offer, and this is one of the things that I've been kind of talking about, that I've been kind of getting some flat back, but I kind of want to direct us more and more to, is this, is that I think spirituality is important. Having a direct connection with the divine is important. But at the end of the day, what's also important, it's not what you believe. It's what you do that counts, and how we live. It's the difference between spirituality and religion, and I know religion has a bad rap, and it should have a bad rap. Alfred North Whitehead said once, he said, and I'm speaking specifically of Christianity, but you can kind of fill in the blanks. When the Jesus movement became the official religion of empire, Constantine's lawyers edited the texts, right? And that could be true of the Gita, it could be true of the Dhammapada, whatever the case may be. As soon as a spiritual practice aligns itself with a political sect, it compromises who and what it is. And it doesn't matter what one it is. My belief these years is that the kingdom of heaven will not arrive on Air Force One. It's an illusion, it's a delusion, and we just have to get over the fact that we think that it will happen or that somebody is coming to save us, because they're not. It's not who we are, it's not how it works, it's not what it is. And so a skill, to define a skill, it is this, a skill is an acquired ability to perform a specific kind of action in the service of some particular purpose. A skill is an acquired ability. It's something that we learn. It's something that we practice, and through repetition, it's something that we excel at. And doing so, it allows us to perform a specific kind of action in the service of a particular purpose: health, relationship, prosperity, the good, creating art, whatever the thing may be. It's to develop those skills. And what I would like to offer is a set of skills over the next several weeks that are based on this idea of what it means to develop the skills to live a virtuous life. And what I mean by that is a virtue, as Craig Boyd in his book on virtues says, a virtue is understood as an excellent way of being. And a virtue shapes the patterns of our behavior because they shape the patterns of our thoughts. Not because we believe something, but because we do something. If we practice the virtue of honesty, it has nothing to do with what you believe about honesty. It's developing the skill to be an honest person. It's developing the skill to live in prudence or temperance or reverence or whatever the skill may be. It's the development of a skill to change a system of behavior that then begins to influence our thought, that then begins to change the direction of our life. In other words, we go home by a different way. Or as the Greeks would say, there is a metanoia. And so what I'd like to do is kind of explain those, or not explain those, but share those and work with them. And this idea then of going home by a different route becomes very personal to me. Because I sit with this idea, like Chris said at the very beginning of the service, of the distractions that happen in the world. And I believe that those distractions are by design, because if one allows themselves to happen, it always throws us on the back foot, because there's always some zany thing that's going on, or some catastrophe, or who knows what whoever is going to do that shocks us, appalls us, frightens us, does whatever the case may be. And that distraction keeps us from living who we have come to be. And, you know, for myself, as I look at this and look at kind of where we are in this idea of late stage empire, what is mine to do in this? What is mine to do? And I've come down to a couple things what are mine to do. And the first is this, is to trust the poets, to trust them, to read more, to engage more, to create more. And the other thing is to tend to the living things as my first priority, and to develop the skills of what it means to do that. I'm in this, you know, so two things are happening with me, if I can speak really personal for just a moment. One is, I thought I was going to retire last year, and I'm not. And I'm here, and I love it. And so the question then for me is, what haven't I said? You know, because how many times can you talk about the same thing over and over and over again? So what haven't I said? What else is there for me to say or do? The other thing, as you guys know or don't know, as I'm working with my stepfather, Andrea is helping, she's very supportive in this, who's 90 years old, who last April, I have no idea what that was. Oh. And I'm getting to the good part. So, you know, it was, how can I support my stepfather in having a good death? To now, how do I support my stepfather in living a good life? And how do I tend to the living things? And my invitation is to each and every one of you is what is the road that's asking you to do it differently than how you've done it? The assumption that you've had of how it would be to what it really is now. Because the thing about the illusion of empire is it creates a transitory sense of who we are. Even though we get plugged into the sense of a machine, which I'll talk on later on this month, but we lose this idea of feeling connected. Simone Weil, who was a theologian and a philosopher and a poet, talks about how we create roots, how we anchor ourselves in this. In Paul Kingsnorth's brilliant book, Against the Machine, he paraphrases Simone Weil in this way. He says, for us to do, he says, pull up some of the exhausted old plants if you need to, carefully now, but if you don't have some new seed to grow in the bare soil, if you don't tend it and weed it with love, if you don't fertilize it and water it and help it grow, well, then your ground will not produce anything good for you. It will be choked up with a chaos of thistles and weeds. And so it's how we tend our garden, quite literally and metaphorically, of what is there to release and let go of, what weeding do I need to do, but also how do I nurture myself? How do I nurture these new ideas that are coming in? How do I nurture these skills that I'm wanting to develop? How am I supporting myself in growing into the thing that I'm wanting? Ernest Holmes used to say, you know, in this life you don't get what you want. You get what you become. And we get what we become by engaging in the skills that allow us to change in that way. So it's time for perhaps each and every one of us to go into a new way, a new thought, a new path. January 3rd, which was yesterday, was the 134th birthday of the professor, also known as J.R.R. Tolkien. And it was really fun because I'm literally a card-carrying member of the Tolkien Society. And we had a Zoom call, and there were people from all over the world that were toasting to the professor. And what he has It's dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step into the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there is no knowing where to end up. Because we step into this threshold, and something amazing and wonderful and powerful happens. But I am seeing this road that I am about to travel, that I'm inviting you guys to travel with me through this year, a year of no going back. And I want to do it by just sharing with you what we shared yesterday in the toast, as a thought, as a contemplation, as a meditation. My thoughts control my life, and I can direct my thinking. So just think on this thing. So what is happening here is in the chapter, An Intended Party, which is the very beginning of Lord of the Rings, Bilbo has relinquished the ring and its power. And he's saying goodbye to what that was for him. He's embarking on a journey, as we all do. And he's speaking with Gandalf. Goodbye for the present, Bilbo. Take care of yourself. You are old enough and perhaps wise enough. Take care. I don't care. Don't you worry about me. I'm as happy now as I ever have been. And that's saying a great deal. But the time has come. I'm being swept off my feet at last, he added. And then in a low voice, as if to himself, he sang softly in the dark. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way where many paths and errands meet, and whither then I cannot say. He paused, silent for a moment. Then, without another word, he turned away from the lights and the voice in the field and the tents and followed his three companions. They went round his garden and trotted down the long sloping path. He jumped over a low place in the hedge at the bottom and took to the meadows, passing into the night like the rustle of wind in the grass. Gandalf remained for a while, staring after him into the darkness. Goodbye, dear Bilbo. until our next meeting, he said softly, and then he went back indoors. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Rev. Glad you're here. It's not clear, but I'm just like you. I've been over here pointing fingers too. But if you want change, you gotta do what's good. You gotta carry that water, chop that wood. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. Everything I do is part of this earth. Step by step I'm gonna add some worth. We can feel afraid but you can't deny it. We feel at ease when we help each other try it. If you want change you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. Cause we're all together, cause we're all together. Yes, we are, we're all together. No matter where you're coming from, sing we're all together. Yes, we are, we're all together. Well, we should get together and sing these songs, but it's gonna take more to right these wrongs. I'm gonna know my history, I'm gonna do someone a favor, treat myself better and trust my neighbor. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. Cause we're all together. Yes, we are, we're all together. I know it's cheesy, but it's true. Sing, we're all together. Yes, we are, we're all together. That's Rhea McCarris on the piano. Beautiful voices, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rhea. That was beautiful. And Lee. Thank you, Rev Guy. Thank you to all of you that we're journeying. We've crossed a threshold, haven't we, into the new year. I really love that word, threshold. We take a moment and step into the threshold. So I am really, I am grateful. I'm grateful that we embark on a new year together, that we have this year that is just beginning, and that we can participate in the center and continue thriving, welcoming spiritual community. I've always said that about Hilltop. And a community means each and every one of you here in this sanctuary, there online, helping us to continue on this new journey in 2026 as a thriving, welcoming spiritual community. So thank you so much for all that you will see yourself already there. See yourself already there in all your wishes, your dreams, and your desires. So as we give today, we give it with our heart. It comes through. It's an abundance. And it's an abundance of love, an abundance of sharing, the gift of giving. So as we come forth into sharing this gift today, we are so grateful that you are here. Thank you for all that you give.
There's people coming through, coming through, coming through. People like you and you and you. You didn't have too much, you do, but you do. You keep on coming through, coming through, coming through. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Thank you. The people coming through. The people like you.
Thank you all. So first, Clay brought these into my office this morning. They're a pair of glasses that were left somewhere in the sanctuary. If anybody possesses these or doesn't possess them anymore but would like to repossess or take them back, they're here. So that's there. And then, of course, to thank everybody, Jeff and Steve, for coming in and doing your stuff. Thank you so much. I know that Larry and Karen were the greeters. Did you have somebody greeting with you today? I thought I saw Bob there too, and Susie.
That's because we were a little bit late.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks for stepping in. And Ria, it's fabulous having you here.
Thank you.
And I understand you're going to be here all month.
Not next week, but
Not next week.
Every other Sunday after that.
But fabulous. So you're welcome here anytime and every time. So thank you for that. And of course, Lee, Andrea, for everything that you do and being up on the platform. What I did not mention, and I am remiss, but I will, is please do not leave without the benefit of prayer. I know that Liz is traveling to wherever she's going to, Arizona today. But if you would like prayer, Terry is here, Paul is here, Andrea is here. They would love to pray with you. You can fill out a prayer request in the narthex, and the practitioners get together every week and we pray together, or you can make an appointment with any one of us if you'd like to have a spiritual counseling session. So it is all there for you. Check out the good things that are in the gift shop. Yes, dear.
Yeah, I just want to say that we have 3 newcomers today, so look for people who have name tags on and greet them.
By all means, by all means, by all means, yes. And if you are new here, you are absolutely welcome. I do have a no outing policy, so I won't out you, but I'd love to get to meet you afterwards if that be the case. So with that, thank you all. I have no idea if there's anything out there, if anybody showed to do anything, so we shall see, we shall see, we shall see. What a surprise to all of us when we walk out the door. So happy Epiphany. It is the final day of Christmastide and the end of the Holy Nights. There's no going back. Here we go. Not full steam, but in the nice rhythm of winter. We move forward from darkness into light. And with that, let us just take a moment to give thanks, to recognize the name of the presence of the divine has many names, none of them adequate, for it is all that is and then. But I personally reflect on the name that the great teacher Jesus gave it, is Abba, loving parent. To that presence that knows and loves, that is novel and healing and restoring. May it direct our thoughts. May we be open to the lure of it, to be filled with wonder and amazement and awe. May it kindle within each and every one of us a flame of reverence to see the divine in all things. And may that experience lure us into service. And so I bless this day in that consciousness, giving thanks, letting it be, and so it is.
Let's go drifting through the trees. Let's go sailing on the sea. Let's go dancing on the juke joint floor. Leave our troubles all behind. Have a party. So easily forgotten the most important things. Like a melody in the moonlight in your eyes, and a song that lasts forever, keeps on getting better all the time. 'Cause life is beautiful, life is wondrous, every star above shining just for us. Life is beautiful on a stormy night. Somewhere in the world, the sun is shining bright. And I go crazy, so afraid I might lose you one fine day, and I'll be nothing but a tired old girl. I don't wanna be without you at the party. So easily forgotten the most important things, that I love you, I do. And I wanna spend my days and nights walking through this crazy world with you. 'Cause life is beautiful, life is wondrous, every star above shining just for us. Life is beautiful on a stormy night. Somewhere in the world, the sun is shining bright. Life is beautiful, life is wondrous, every star above shining just for us. Life is beautiful on a stormy night. Somewhere in the world, the sun is shining bright.
Rhea, happy Sunday, everybody.